you so much. Can everybody hear me? Okay, okay. Um, Thanks for that introduction. Even though I wrote it, it still feels shy to hear it. But thank you so much. Part of my protocols is always to offer tobacco before I share or sing. So I'm just going to add that to my smudge here. And thank you so much for inviting me to this event. And I'm really happy to see Elder Marjorie Bocage here as well. She's has helped me a lot in terms of drumming and singing and finding my voice. And so good to see her here. I was really thinking lots about what I wanted to share and make it, sort of relevant to what this event is, and writing, letters to help people who have used their voice and have stood up and in different ways for human rights and rights of the environment. And so I wanted to share a little bit, sort of some background story and a couple songs. And part of my protocols is always to share where those songs came from. And so I'm going to, and thank you, Kim. I had asked Kim to put some tobacco out on the land as a protocol. So thank you so much for doing that, since we couldn't meet and do that in person. I first met Kim on when I had moved briefly to Edmonton, and was there for 6 months, I think, as from I think a book club that Kim had. But previous to that, Kim lived fairly close to where I am now in Prince Albert, out in Christopher Lake. And in 2007, I helped to organize the first Pride Parade here in Prince Albert. So in a smaller urban center, I mean, there's about 55,000, maybe 60,000 now in Prince Albert, but it's still, it's still small compared to some of the larger communities. And so there's still people who don't feel safe, even now, even after the parade and work that has been done. There's still people who don't feel safe to walk down the streets and hold hands with their partner, or feel supported as a trans person to be out in the city. And so there's still a lot of work to be done. But in 2007, when we were organizing our first Pride Parade here with a group of youth, through when I was volunteering with the Avenue Community Center, or back then now out Saskatoon. And whenever I start something or plan to organize something, I always go to ceremony. And so I brought cloth and tobacco into Sweat Lodge at that time, and prayed for things to go well. And having a first Pride Parade in Prince Albert was, there was some support, but there was also some backlash, and some number of letters were going back and forth in the paper about from people who didn't want the parade, and that there are different reasonings why. And some of those letters were full of terrible myths and misconceptions of gender and sexually diverse community. And in fact, one of those letters I now use, I black out the name, but I use that in presentations sometimes, talk about myths. And I said, there's a number of them in that letter. And so, so it's just a way to use that negativity in a good way. But during that very first organizing for that first Pride Parade, where I was working, my boss called me into the office one day and said that I needed to choose between the work that I was doing within the community, or the work that I was doing there. And I ended up leaving, and I was going to quit work And then I realized, no, I have rights. So I went back, and then I had the union with me, and I said, no, I'm not going to quit the work that I'm doing. And whether you support that or not, I'm still going to continue with organizing this Pride Parade. And I'm not going to choose between work and community work. You can't tell me what I can do outside of work. And so, and I mean, and that's just, you know, sort of one example that I had come across. And what I ended up doing is the next year I went, because some of that stuff was still happening, and I started questioning in my role as a leader and what I was doing. And so I went to, because I always go back to ceremony and to the land. And so I went on a fast, a 4-day fast, which is 4 days without food or water, and to just dream, to pray, to sing, to ask for guidance. And I was asking for that guidance for leadership. And at the end of the fast, I was in a teepee, and the firekeeper came in and had made a fire for me. And it was in the late or early spring, and we had all the 4 seasons. It snowed, it rained, it froze, and it was kind of chilly that last day. So built a fire for me in the teepee, and everybody went into the lodge, and I wasn't able to join them into the sweat lodge and share stories because during the fast my moon time had come, and in that late elders teachings, women or Two-Spirit people don't go into the lodge if they are on the moon time, and everybody has different teachings. And so I was in the teepee, and I was feeling sad that I wasn't with everybody. And then all of a sudden the fire started singing, and there was this little do 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 do, and I looked and I heard it again, do 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 do, and so I started singing back to it, do 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 do, and then I realized I'm not alone, and I was doing what I needed to do for that ceremony. And I'd hear everybody's stories, and we'd share stories after of what our fast or vision quest was like. And I realized that even in times of leadership, one feels alone. And I'm getting emotional because I'm thinking of those people who are in prison who may feel alone in solidarity. I can't even imagine being in solitary confinement for the number of years, for a whole year. Like I just, so even in those times of feeling alone, we're never alone. And knowing that this letter writing is happening for the people that Amnesty International has identified on their list, and that's happening all across the nations, is just incredible to me. Just that coming together, right? And so just that energy is amazing, just that healing energy, and where that can lead and where that can grow. And so from that song and the fire, a fire song came. And I didn't have the words at first, I just had the tune. And the words came later as I grew in my journey, and I learned about what the fire means and teachings of the fire. And I started becoming a helper as a scapi, and taking care of the fire for different ceremonies, which is typically sometimes in indigenous culture is what the men would do, but as a Two-Spirit person, can do both roles. And so I would look after the fire, sometimes different ceremonies. And so this song came, and so this song is about singing in the fire to ask for its help and its guidance. Often after ceremonies, people will sometimes put their tobacco in a fire or put their offerings in the fire, and that gets burned and taken up to Creator. And so just like I offered some tobacco to my smudge here, and ask for the right words to come, to ask for these healing energies to go out to whoever needs it. you know, so that fire helps with that. And so the song is about that, is about um, uh, asking the fire spirit to help in those prayers. But also sometimes in, you know, in leadership, people, you know, they can feel alone, but it's also what keeps them going is just that passion, you know, that fire that we all have within ourselves, and that passion to do what is right, no matter what the consequences are, or what others say, or others' ideas, or others' opinions, just to keep going. And so this fire song is also to keep fueling those passions, and to continue in whatever calls you to action, whatever that is for you, to do it, and to not let others to say that it's has to be another way. You know the way for your call to action, and to just keep feeding that fire in a good way. And so that's what this song is for. So I'll sing this one, and then I have another one that I want to share, and I'll share a little bit about that story too. So I invite you, sing along if you like. You know, drum in your own way if you have a drum. I brought out my drum bundle and put it all around. Usually I would put out the drums on a blanket and invite people just to take one, whatever speaks to them. These drums came from different people gifts, or and some are indigenous and some are there's some bongos and some African style drums, because you know, that drum speaks across all nations, and so I like to have different drums available so people can go feel guided to what one speaks to them, and play it. But and there's some that aren't here in my bundle that I've given out during these COVID times for people to share. And these are actually, we were almost all gone to other people who were borrowing them. And then we had got some funding from Two Spirits in Motion to do a drum making circle. So there was, the drums all came back after people got their own drums. But there's still a few out there that are being used. So this is a fire song. And again, just to hope it reaches you in a good way, and those healing energies go out to those that need it. Aha, I see. Beautiful drum. Thank you. And so just let me think a sec. Okay. Now I feel nervous. Okay. Way ha, 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 way ha. Oh, fire spirit, we acknowledge you. 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 Way ha, 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 way ha. Oh, fire spirit, please hear our prayer. 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 Way ha, 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 way ha. Oh, fire spirit, please bless us. thank you. So that was the fire spirit song that came out of that ceremony time, and calls for my prayers for help, for guidance. So um, this other story and song I want to share with you is from actually from the Frog Nation, and this song came fairly recently, but it was back again. So one of my themes throughout my life is just believing in myself, I guess, right? And believing in myself as a helper, or as a leader, as your activist. And so it was again another one of those times in my life where I was feeling fear of stepping forward, of taking on leadership roles that were being asked of me, and just feeling fearful of that. And so I returned to ceremony again, returned to land, and it was one of the prayers that I had during that 4-day fast was praying about that, letting go of fear. What was that fear connected to? And during that fast, a lot of frogs came, and they just, like, there was tons. And I was watching them and asking, okay, what are you here to tell me? What are you here to show me? What am I supposed to learn from you? And so I'd watch them, and they would hop this way, and they would hop that way, and they would zigzag, and then they would stop for a little while, and then they would go again. And what I was realized during that time of that, they were teaching me to keep going forward. If I stop too long, like a frog is going to dry up, and they're going to die. But it's okay to be cautious, because they have to stop and just make sure that there's no predators out there. And so they stay still for a little while, and then they continue, but they have to keep going to that water. And so that's what that taught me at that time, was that Frog Nation was saying, keep going forward. And so so I share this, thinking about, the people that you're writing letters for. When you're writing those letters to them, I'm getting emotional again, for to connect with their spirit, and to tell them to have that faith. So I'm thinking of that, and so that's what this song is. And the song actually came recently when we were first isolating in March. I saw a video of a frog singing, and how those vibrations of the water went out. And it just reminded me of drumming, and why I love drumming. Just those vibrations go out, and that energy goes out, and good intentions, and that reaches who it needs to. And that's something that Elder Marjorie taught me, is about vibrational energy. And so that's what this song does, is it's just that healing vibrational energy, and reminding us to keep moving forward no matter what. So I'll sing this last, and just like the fire song, it's the water song. And just as a two-spirit person, I'm always about balance, and about what is that balance. So we'll balance the fire song with the water song, or Frog Nation song. And so it starts slow, and then it goes fast, and then it slows, and it's fast. Yahweh, 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 All right. Well, it looks like I went over time too. But thank you so much for your time and for all the hard work that you're doing writing these amazing letters. And I have a few more that I need to finish too. But, um, but I'm gonna have to leave to make supper here pretty quick, but I'll stay on a few minutes just in case there's any questions or anything.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. We really appreciate having you and hearing your perspective on everything that you've been working on in Prince Albert and Saskatchewan. Especially to me anyway, it's very interesting having grown up there. So I definitely feel what you're talking about, the resistance that is still there. Having grown up there, as a queer person myself, I definitely know the resistance that is there. Anyway, that was beautiful and really moving, and I love that you invited us to join in because I know Luis really enjoyed that opportunity.
Hey.
Yeah, Shelley, did you have anything you wanted to add?
It was lovely. I always love hearing the drum. It's a very calming experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really miss not being able to go out and to share this bundle. So this means a lot to me to be able to do it this way.
I appreciate your willingness to let me plant the tobacco in a park too. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Jennifer?
It's Rob here. I'm interested in what you had to say about thinking you might have to quit work, but you thought about it and resolved to stay and work with, was it your union or anyway, your association? Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about that and maybe what that means for the field of human rights?
I think in that situation, and that was like, yeah, just one example. I've come up with that last year too, when again in a work environment, being told that we couldn't drum, a group of us women and two, and me as a two-spirit person, being told not that we couldn't drum. And there's lots of different cultural teachings out there about you know drumming, and my teachings aren't the same as everybody else's, but um, uh, still have a right to practice one's cultural beliefs. And then with the when I was organizing with the Pride Parade, you still have a right to to do community work, even if a workplace doesn't agree with it. They can't, a workplace can't say what you can and cannot do outside of work. And and so I think it's important that people know that they have unions and they have these legislations like the human rights, but also Universal Declaration of Indigenous Peoples. There's Canada did sign that agreement. So there's, and it says in there about having Indigenous peoples being able to practice their culture. And a lot of organizations nowadays are thinking more about reconciliation. And it's even in those reconciliation calls to action, there's I'm forgetting then exactly where it's all, but in there too, it even is calls upon organizations to have cultural and educational programs that relates to Indigenous peoples, and have let Indigenous peoples be able to practice their culture. And so there's all of these different acts that are asking for that, and it's even in the calls to justice now for the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and two-spirit people. And so I think I don't know if I'm answering your question, but for me at the time, that's when I realized, hey, I do have rights. I do have the union. There is, our human rights code that says that I can, do what I want in the community as long as I'm not hurting or harming anybody, right? So, so I technically, I guess I probably quit for like half an hour. I went for a walk at home and realized, hey, you can't do this. So then I went back. And then years later, that former employee and boss and I were able to get together and talk about it. And I was able to forgive him, for that, so we came to a place of understanding years later. And that was really important to me, that I was able to then say how I felt back then, but how that happening, what was I guess that fire to help light my fire within to say no, and to stand up for myself and what I believed in, so it helped to feed those flames even more.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Does anyone else have questions? Okay, I feel very grounded right now. It's like everybody feels like really connected and sort of that quiet energy. So
Awesome.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that.
Awesome.
I hope you'll be able to join us later. I know you have a little one to take care of, but feel free to pop back in anytime.
I think I'll just keep it going so I can hear throughout the rest of the evening. So thank you again.
Yes, great.